Cool. All right, let's present. All right, so for chapter 2, so remember, always go back, and if you, a lot of people haven't finished the chapter 2 notes yet, the outline, go back and do that because the chapter summary is actually surprisingly, they were 15% of the grade, so it does have a large impact. So we're still accepting those. All right, so the key points for the chapter. We're looking at what leads are, writing so readers can understand, writing visuals, social media promotion, and something called inverted pyramid. So the key thing, we'll go here. For writing for articles, it's very different than an essay. In terms, when you write an essay, you write very generic first, and then you go to specific. So if you think about how a essay, the introductory paragraph works, it goes from not very important, then it goes straight to the thesis, to the point. An article works very opposite. So all the important stuff actually goes right at the beginning. The very first sentence, we call it the lead. And in the lead, our first two sentences, so in the first two sentences, we have something called the lead. So it's the who, what, where, when, why, and how. It's approximately 25 to 35 words. It may include something like we call a hook, where it's provocative, but generally the lead is just most important stuff. The point of that is because most people, and we learned this in chapter 1, most people in the United States and in the world, they skim articles. So people read the headlines and they don't get past 25% of what's in the article. So we write articles so that people can learn everything they can within the first few paragraphs, the short paragraphs. And then in the middle, we have the body, and towards the end, we have the tail. So in the lead, what should be in it? It should be brief, no more than 25 to 35 words, and very tight, in the sense that we're not wasting our words with it. It should get a reader's attention, and in a sense, it should also tell us where we got the information. So, for example, if I were to go to the LA Times and just click on an article, lame, we have a paywall right here. So let's go, baby. Pasadena Star News, right? Just a random newspaper. Let's click on this. Okay. So the very first sentence of this article, paywall right there too. Maybe Washington Post. Darn. Okay. New York Times. Okay, let's choose an article. All right, so this article, NYC schools open again. NYC schools again delay start of in-person classes for most students. Okay, so that's the name of the article. What we see in the first graph, the first paragraph, is Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York City on Thursday once again delayed the start of most in-person classes in public schools, acknowledging that the system had still not fully surmounted the many obstacles that it is facing, bringing children back during the coronavirus pandemic. If you look at it, so our lead, the very first paragraph of the article gives us everything we need to know. We have our who, which is Mayor de Blasio. We have our what, schools will not be open again. The where, New York City. The why, because of the corona pandemic. So generally within the first 25, 35 words, we get everything we need to know about the article. Let's see if, let's be lame. Okay. So same thing, if I click a random article here from Boston Globe, Governor Charlie Baker and top members of his administration got flu shots Thursday and urged Massachusetts residents to do the same in an effort to prevent possible dual surges of flu, yada, yada. All right, so in this article, we have the same thing. Our lead has everything we need to know. So we have our who, Governor Charlie Baker, and top members. We have our what, they got flu shots, and they urge Massachusetts to do the same. Where, Massachusetts, and why, and same thing. So within that beginning 25 to 35 words, we have everything we need to know. So we start right there. We have that inverted pyramid. The sentence and the sentences right after the lead is called the nut graph. We spell it like this. Same thing with the lead. They spell it like this just because it's a little more, it's like a slang term for journalists. But nut graph, we call it that because there is like a saying in a nutshell. What does this mean? So in a sense, the lead gives like the gist of what's about, while the nut graph is provides connection and a little more explanation of what's going to be. So for example, here it says electricity was finally restored for 3,000 shivering Troutdale's residents Friday. And then when we get to the nut graph, it expands and gives us like the why and the what. Power repair crews worked for more than 72 hours after Monday night's ice storm down dozens in power lines. If we look at the real life examples, like the random articles we chose. So our leads right here, Mayor de Blasio of New York City on Thursday once again delayed the start of most in-person classes in public schools, acknowledging that the system will not fully surmount the many obstacles that is faced bringing the children back during this coronavirus pandemic. The abrupt announcement was a blow to the mayor's effort to make New York City one of the few major cities in the nation to hold in-person classes, and it threatens to deep concerns and confusion over whether the mayor and administration has mishandled the reopening of announcing deadline. So the nut graph just gives more information. Sometimes it's 2 more paragraphs, but generally it gives more information and it gives us the why. Same thing here. We have this Governor Charlie Baker and top administration and members of the administration got flu shots Thursday and urged Massachusetts residents to do the same in an effort to prevent possible dual surges of the flu and coronavirus this fall that could overwhelm healthcare workers. So this is the gist of the article in the lead, and then in the nut graph we get a little more information. Baker, briefing reporters after getting his flu shot at CVS location in Roseville, cited the heroic work of healthcare workers at the height of the pandemic and said for yourselves, and you should go out and get a flu vaccine. All right, so we have our lead and then we have our nut graph. And then we can really, the way we take our article, it could change. You could keep giving context, you can give quotes, but the key thing for any article is to find the focus. What is the point of what you're trying to write? Our general topic is, I guess, the pandemic to coronavirus pandemic. What's the focus? A more interesting focus is the pandemic and how it's affecting students, or pandemic and how it's affecting single um, single parents or something like that. But we need to present something and focus on a specific topic, because it's so, any topic we do is such a large and it's broad. Hard news presents facts first and often details the rest of the results. We talked about this. So hard news is more of a serious news. When we're doing stuff, what you got to do is find the focus. What is the point of what you're trying to communicate? So make sure that's being communicated in your story. If your focus is struggles that students are having during this time period, make sure that your quotes and what you're saying, it relates to that focus. All stories should contain quotes, facts, and information to support the focus. The lead exists so readers can get the most important information, because you don't have time to read. We talked about that because most people skim writing. They only read 25% of articles. So the first 25 to 35 words is the lead, because people are lazy. And that's true. I do the same thing. I skim articles. All right. When you're writing your story, the key thing, how do you find your focus? So what is the story about? What do you find interesting? What readers also find this interesting? What impact does this event have on readers? What's the elevator pitch? How would you relate this information to a friend? All right, so any basic news story, and we did an assignment on this during week 3. It has the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how. A lot of that gets answered in the lead, but then it should also answer so what. There should be a point to newspapers. There should be a point to articles. Why should people care about this writing? All right, so once again, we're gonna go over some basics of the newspaper. Our very first thing we need to know is a headline. The headline is at the top of the story that tells readers what the story is about. So, for example, this is the headline. Baker urges people to get flu shots to prevent dual surge of flu coronavirus. This is the headline. NYC will delay again the start of in-person classes for most students. The point of the headline is to draw the reader's attention, but also give them everything they need to know about the article. It should be informative. A lot of what I see today in writing is clickbait material, where they give you headlines that aren't necessarily related to what the story is about, and the job is just to get you there. Those are not good journalistic headlines. I didn't include it, but the byline. This is the byline. This is the byline, BYLINE, by Travis and Martin Fuscani. So this is the headline. The byline is when we get the name of the person. So the byline here, this one is created by the staff. Yeah, so the byline here is the author here, and the headlines on top. All right, we talked about the lead, we talked about lit graphs. Quotes are important. We'll get into detail in the next few slides of how to use quotes, and I'll go review like one of the former assignments we needed to do. But quotes, they should, actually we'll get to that after. There's quotes, attributions. Attribution is giving credit to the source of the quote. So it defines the source. If I go back to over here, they give, this was not good, it's a short article. Let's click on this one. Darn paywalls. Let's try to go to PR. So if you look at this, we have quote, and we have our attribution. We know Anthony Barr, which is the Attorney General of the United States, he said it. So anytime we have quotes, we have attributions. Then we give context, background, history of events, which provides history of events. We have elaboration, which gives supporting detail, and we have an ending that gives either the future action. The last quote you put in your story should be like a good quote where it has something powerful to say. If you want to end with a quote, and that's usually called our kicker quote. So avoid summaries. It's not an essay. At the end of your article, you don't need to summarize everything you just said. The point of it is just to give off information, and think about it as inverted pyramid. As you get to the bottom, you give other information. If you want to end with a quote, make sure it's a good quote. So, and we call that the kicker quote. All right, so what we strive for is fairness and accuracy. If a story involves any type of conflict, always get comments from all sides. So if you want to cover the presidential election, make sure you get people that are Republicans and Democrats. Avoid one source stories. So for example, if Kiria got in a fight, right, in the cafeteria, and the only person that saw it was Darlene, even though Darlene's a very trustworthy person, it's not good to only get her perspective. If we have some sort of event, it's always get multiple perspectives, because one person's point of view is very subjective. But if you get multiple people's accounts, then it becomes a little more clear what happened during that event. So if I have you cover the effects of quarantine and the new distance learning, I would want you to cover, not just get students' perspectives, because students are one source, but get students, parents, teachers, admin. It creates a larger perspective, right? So our goal is balance. We want fairness and accuracy, and to get balance in articles is to get both sides of the story. All right. So article dues. Always use attribution for sources. That means if you use a quote, tell us where that quote came from. If a story can benefit from a visual, use it. Useful for online outlets, so we do that. We have something called a pull quote. So pull quotes are something visually that we do. If you look at the way magazines are structured, you might see stuff like this where there's the article and then they put in bold like a quote that they see. This is called a pull quote. And literally they pull the quote from the story just to make it more interesting. So pull quote. All right, so when we're using quotes, don't use quotes to just repeat information. Instead, choose quotes that push the story further. So for example, you wouldn't say, Richie said he had fun at the event. And then your quote says, I had fun at the event, Richie said. That would be very boring. The goal of quotes is to add more information or push the story forward. If we said in our story, Richie said he had fun at the event, and then his quote was, I felt like I was 8 years old again. Richie said, I laughed so hard, tears rolled down my cheeks, and I nearly spilled my popcorn, right? So it's a little more interesting. It adds more depth to the story. I actually put this twice, but use quotes that are worded in a unique way. So if people, when they're talking, it's kind of, they give you nothing that's interesting, don't use it, don't feel obligated. The sky looks pretty. But if they're a little more descriptive, like, oh, the fluffy white clouds look like memory foam pillows, yada, yada, those are a little more interesting. So consider quotes that are worded in a unique way. When you're writing the quotes on your paper, and the point of the one assignment I had you do, a lot of people, it didn't turn out right, so I'm going to have you guys resubmit it, is so first off, commas and periods always go inside the quotation marks. So for example, he said, comma, quotation, when does the semester end? Question mark. Question marks and other punctuation go inside the quotation mark if the punctuation refers to the quote material. So it refers to what's happening inside. Yeah, let's keep going. So you don't need to give us long explanations at the end of quotes. So for example, I like food, Richie said as he took 3 massive bites of the bean burrito while staring into the sunset, debating whether or not he should move to Kansas. All this stuff is unnecessary, at least for articles. When we get to more of the feature writing, we could be a little more playful with the writing. But right now, we're just going to do a very not basic, but straightforward. The goal for newspaper writing is straightforward. Okay, so different things. Limit the use of partial quotes and ellipses. So even though someone gives you a long quote, just cut it. Limit the use of ... and cutting their quote around, because we might misquote someone and that is just as bad. Use attributions for direct quotes and paraphrases. If we get information from someone, you want to give them the source. Attribution comes first in broadcast, don't steal. So when we start doing broadcast news, so the newspaper, we might give the quote and we'll put, let's put the example. So in a newspaper, it says this. We give the quote, the notion that line prosecutors should make the final decision at the Department of Justice is completely crazy, Barr said. If we were to make a news broadcast, if we were to record on video news, we would say, Attorney General Anthony Barr said, the notion that line prosecutors should make the final decision at the Department of Justice is completely crazy. So that's the opposite. In broadcast news, we give the attribution first. In newspaper news, we give the attribution after. You don't need to attribute facts, but always attribute accusations. So that means if it's a known fact, if people know that, I don't know, that Christmas is on December 25th, that the president is Donald Trump, whatever, if those are facts, then you don't have to give sources. But if people make accusations, like if Kyria says that Baskin Robbins tastes terrible, then that's an accusation, and we need to give the quote to her. Because for you as writers, your job is not to, at least in the beginning, to remain generally neutral. So you don't want to get slander or libel. That means you could get in trouble for lying. However, you can't get in trouble for giving quotes from people who are giving accusations. Always use said for hard news and says. So when we're doing your stories, just use the word said. It's kind of opposite of what teachers have told you many times in the past, where they're like, oh, be more exciting, use words like shouted or whispered or exclaimed, right? In newspaper writing, our job is to remain neutral. And if you add a lot of the extra words, like shouted and whatever, it changes the meaning, even though if they said it like that. Our job is to give the facts. Okay. So the first time you mention someone, you should use their first and last name. So if I give a quote from, we missed it earlier, but the Anthony Barr quote, we give the first name, but afterwards, after that very first time, we just refer to them by the last name. If people have titles, if the title comes before the name, we capitalize it. So right here it says Police Chief Ron Olin. We capitalize Police Chief. However, if we place the title after their name, then it's lowercase. Olin, Police Chief of Lawrence. All right, so any questions about this chapter 2 material? Okay, so I assume that's a no. Keep in mind, if you haven't, I'm not assigning a new chapter for you guys for a few weeks. So make sure you do the chapter 2 outline, and then which in week 4, and then today you have until Tuesday to finish your basic news story quiz for chapter 2. You have 2 tries, and try your best on that. Okay, let's go look at a past assignment. So there's one assignment that I wanted to revisit just because we didn't exactly do it right. I think it's in here, week 2 assignments. Nope. Week 3 assignments. Yeah, there you go. So I to avoid the paywall, I just downloaded the article. So if you click on it, I provide a PDF. And here's the article. So we were looking at hair salons and news, and some people type the whole thing and some people type other things. And that's not necessarily what I wanted you guys to do. The point of it was for you guys to get the understanding of how article quotes are written. So let's see. I think Ashley did it right. Ashley. All right, so what I wanted you to do is literally just look at all the quotes that appear and type in the quote and type in the attribution. So some people just typed in the quote without the attribution. What I wanted to see is the whole thing. So if you guys can, go back and resubmit that. So send it to me again after you looked it over. So the goal of it is to see how quotes are written. So look at it, type in the quote, type in attribution, and the point of it is to kind of get a feeling of how quotes are written in the story. So go back and do that after. Okay, any questions about that assignment?
Yes.
Oh, Isabella, what's your question?
We just write down the quotes into like a doc, and that's all.
Yeah, but make sure to put attributions too. Yeah, just put in the doc.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back to our story proposal number 1. So we're done reading the book for now until we go back and learn a new style of writing. But story proposal number 1. This is different in the past years just because we're obviously we're with each other. We need 2 things to understand. Let's see. Let's go back. So if you go to week 3 and click on this link, it says think tank, it'll lead you to a document right here. There's people's names, and people are generally under a category. If you're not sure, if you don't remember which category you're under, you have to go back to week 2. And I know we have maybe like 2 new students, 1 new student. Go back to unit 1 and then click on week 1. If you click on selecting roles, it'll take you to Google Doc. And you'll see under which category we have different people. So for world news, we have Steph, Darlene, Andrea, Edson. Features, Sarah, Isabella, Betsy. Opinions, Ketsia, Kiria, Alicia, Valerie. Then for culture of Amber, yada yada. Okay, so you see this, sports, and then what I need you guys to do after you look at that, so you can see what category you're in, and then we did our think tank. So think tank is just our generally what we call our session where we brainstorm ideas. Look at our think tank and see the types of stories that you did. So US and world news, our lead for that was Steph. So far they thought about racial justice movement, presidential election. Hopefully they come up with a bit more, but look at those two documents. And then actually let's revisit this. So everyone go back to week 3. So go to unit 2, week 3, and then everyone open this document. It's a shared document, but you need to have your LAUSD, account signed on. Go back to this document, and then we're going to add a few more things because things might have changed. So let me put you guys in the correct rooms while you guys open that document. So click through that, find the document, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me make sure I put you guys in the right rooms. So we have 6 rooms. So first one, we have Steph, Andrea Castillo, Darlene, and Edson. That guy's not here. Breakout room 2, we have Sarah. This takes a lot longer. Sarah, Isabella, Betsy. Breakout room 2, 3, we have Ketsia. Kiria. Lisa's at the dentist apartment. Valerie. Next room, we have Amber, Brianna, Ashley and Naya, Ashley Steele, and Margarita. Room 5, we have Angel, Chelsea, Alejandra, and I'm gonna throw Ashley, which room do you want to go to?
Well, last time I was in opinions. Do I stay there or?
Yeah, I'll put you there. I'll put you back there. Okay, so this one is Yeretsi. Jessica, I'm gonna put you in local news. And okay, I need to fix this. Okay, so Jessica Ramirez and Keon, I'll put you in local there too. And then it takes a lot longer on this thing.
Mister, I already put myself in the photography section.
Oh, those are two different categories. So you have to be in the orange category and a blue category.
Oh, all right.
All right. So uh, opinions, Kidia, and then I'll put sports. Oh, Natalie. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. It's been a week and a half since we've revisited this, actually maybe 2 weeks. Go back and add any more information here, and then we're gonna look at picking stories. So make sure add more stuff to your category, and then we'll come back and look at it in about um, it says 15 minutes, but I'm gonna call you guys back in 6 minutes.
Mister, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for all the rooms to close. All right. Everyone should be back now, I think. Okay, so I wanted you guys to give you a chance to kind of look that over. Just because our next assignment is actually our story proposal. So if you go to story proposal, number one, click on it. So these are our assignments for this week. Story proposal number one. Click on it, and it should copy a document onto your Google Drive, and it should look like this. What I want you to do is first, obviously, put your name where it says name, and put the date. And this is story proposal number one. You're going to give me 3 story proposals. So after your group looks at their think tank, so remember, I want you to focus entirely on just your category. So if you don't like your category, we actually, it's a rotating category. So in the future, we're going to switch to other ones if you guys want to. So for example, for sports will be Angel, Chelsea, Alejandra, and Nat. They're going to focus on sports this time around. So what I want you guys to do is send me a story proposal. In your story proposal, it's going to be two to three sentences per proposal. And what you need to do is explain the focus of the story. What are you focusing on? And the people you need to speak to ensure a fair and balanced story, right? So for example, if the story I'm focusing on is the bell schedule. After years of regular bell schedule, Huntington Park has decided to switch to a block schedule. For this story, I'll explore the purpose of the switch and impact it has had on the students and teachers. I would need to interview students, teachers, admin, and parents. So if that was my story, I would focus on that. I just wanted you guys to give me like 2 sentences about what your focus is, and actually, then just focus on whichever group you signed up for. I think I might have just put you on 2. So, or this one, if our focus was climate change. Climate change is a real problem. It seems to be the cause of many ongoing natural disasters such as wildfires, hurricanes, and floods. For this story, I'll delve into the cause and effect of the natural disasters and government response. For this story, I would need to speak to people who live in the area and possibly people who are knowledgeable in science. So even though our goal is, regardless of your story, I want you to get quotes from people, like from real people. Even though you're researching information from, like you're doing culture, and you might do like let's see, something from culture, like they're doing the death of Chadwick Boseman. You know, it would be cool to get quotes from actual like celebrities too that you see in news articles and reading and your research during your research. But also, I want you to get quotes from real life people that are around us. Get their reactions. Get people who are thinking. If you're doing a review on the Mulan movie, which I personally I hated that movie, but because I'm a big fan of the original Mulan and the singing and everything. I watched the newest Mulan movie and it was not my liking. So if you were doing a story on that, you will interview people, real people around you, and get quotes from them. Same thing for any of the categories. Just as our goal, since we're limited to our high school, we want to get quotes from people within our community, right? In the people that are around us. All right, if we're doing the death of Kobe Bryant passed away early this year, and the current Lakers squad has dedicated this year to his memory. So our focus would be how the current Laker team is using his memory to kind of carry on his legacy. For the story, we'll get quotes from people who have been lifelong Laker fans, right? So what I want you to do is something very similar to the example. You're going to download this, type in your proposal. So choose, of the think tank stories in here, choose 3 that you want to write about, that you think, okay, that's the topic I want to do. Type it in and then submit it. And then from there, I'll look at your story ideas and then assign you stories. And then after that, week 6 and 7, we're gonna do a rough draft and we're gonna do a final draft, and we're going to publish it on our website. You know, if it meets our requirements. Any questions about the story proposal? Isabel, do you have a question?
No, I'm good.
Okay, yeah. So make sure you stay in your, I don't want to sound mean, but stay in your lane, stay in your categories, because we want to have a well-rounded newspaper. And for this one, I want you guys to focus from what your group decided on, right? Next week, after we have proposals, I know we have leads right now, but we'll clarify if we have anyone wants to apply to be, what you call it, editors outside of Ashley. All right, so that's that assignment. Remember, we don't have any chapter assignments this week. We have a practice. I want you guys to practice this before we get into our real writing. It's called a lead exercise. So click on this and it'll make it, same thing, it'll make a document for you. In this lead exercise, what I want you to do is you're given the sentence about a situation. So for example, here it says, a study was released yesterday by University of Colorado. The study was funded by Alfred P. Sloan Foundation. The study said that 60% of college students who begin studying science, mathematics, engineering switch to another major. The study cited poor teaching for the faculty. So you get 5 examples of different stories, right? And we give you like the gist of it. Your job is to write a lead for all of these. So when you're writing your lead, break it down. Go back to chapter 2 and look at what's a good lead, right? You need to break it down to 25 to 35 words. Give us the gist of who, what, when, where, and just rewrite it so we just, as if it was the first sentence of your article. And that's just for you guys to practice what's good leads. So that's that assignment. It's slightly difficult, but you'll figure it out. All right, we have lead exercise, we have a story proposal, you have a quiz on chapter 2, and the last thing we have is Canva timeline assignment. So if we go back to week 4, I had you guys practice with Canva. Canva is, we actually have 2 new students. Canva is a website where you're able to create designs for free. It could cost money if you choose like a premium content, but we had you guys practice on that. And what people did were supposed to make logos, and I'll show you some logos. So this is from Steph. I'll pop up in a different screen. Cool. Steph, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. What was inspiration for your logo?
Honestly, just, I don't know. I was like, I really like black and white, and I like how green, well, like neon green greeting looks. I just like the earth, so I just put that there, and Pink Floyd quote song.
Yeah, definitely. We have a Pink Floyd quote from the Wish You Were Here album, I believe. Yeah, cool. Let's look at some other ones. Alicia, awesome. She's at her dentist appointment, so hers is a Kanye quote. And the weather was breezy, man. Why can't life always be this easy? Very awesome. I love the colors. I love just like the way this plays off the purple. Awesome. Alejandra, intense. This is cool. Alejandra, you here right now?
Yeah.
Tell us about your logo.
Okay. Well, the picture, I got inspired from a BTS album called "Love Yourself," and it's my favorite album because it basically, like, for those people like me, like I have like a low self-esteem, so I don't really think that much of myself. But this quote, like, it represents that you should love yourself and love for who you are.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I love this. I love the colors, the smoke. Cool. Let's look at a few more and then we'll move on. All right, so we got that. Ashley, what is this? Is this a candy corn?
I don't know. It's like a little monster.
Okay, tell us about your design.
The background's green because my favorite color is green, and then that's a quote from a song, and I put that because I was tired while I was making it, so I put that because like I'm tired a lot, and then I put that because it was cute.
Cool, awesome. Uh, what else we got? So Darlene, Darlene, describe your design to us.
Well, I like my designs to be very colorful, so I tried to go for something very colorful. And the quote is just something that I really like because it's something that's so true. Like you do have choices, and you're more far than your abilities. So
Cool, awesome. Definitely colorful, definitely bright, and it matches your personality. Very bright and lively. All right, Ketsia. I'm not sure. Are you here right now, Ketsia? I don't think so. All right, Kiria. Oh, this is cool. All right, Kiria, tell us about this.
Okay, so I did it last minute, but I chose the I think it's the sky because I don't have a favorite color, so I just chose that one. And then the quote it says they would think that they coming out as fear. I think that's the quote that I wanna follow because I tend to like fear the future, not like the future, but I tend to be cautious about things because I don't know the outcome. So yeah.
Cool, awesome. All right, let's see. Betsy. Betsy, tell us about this.
Um, well, green is like my favorite color, but I didn't want a plain green, so I kind of chose that color. And the design was already kind of made, so I just put in my name. And the quote that I put, remember this dear, if you play small, you stay small. And I don't know, I liked it because like it's a reminder to always try to do the most for yourself and to um I don't know, just be better for yourself.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. All right. So we have more. Should we, let me click one more. Let's try Guy. All right, Angel, tell us about your design.
So I went on the Canva and I was kind of just looking around, and then I seen the guy's face, and I was messing around with colors at first, and then I thought of this quote from Albert Einstein where it's logic will take you from A to B and imagination will take you everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And it got me thinking about how, like, since I like to draw a lot, how imagination plays like a big part of my life. So I wanted to draw like his brain thinking like outside of him.
Hmm.
So I wanted it to play like a really close part to the quote.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. I like that. All right, so I didn't get a chance to go there through everyone's, but for this week assignment, I wanted to give you last week experience with Canva, and if you're new, go back and create a logo for that assignment. Canva is very cool place to just make designs. For this week, we're going to do a timeline assignment. So it's kind of like writing a story because I need you to do some research. What we're going to do is create a timeline using Canva to trace an event, right? So uh, the events could vary. It could be the Black Lives Matter movement, COVID-19, the Democratic presidential primary, like voter fraud, QAnon, the Laker 2020 season. I mean, the what you guys do can vary as long as you can show me an event as it progresses, right? Something that's current, something that is actually, recent in the news. For this assignment, you're gonna go to Canva and you're gonna go to where it says marketing and click on, it's hard to find here. We're gonna go templates, go to marketing and infographic, right? And infographics, I've done this from one of my other classes. Infographics are generally a larger graphic that shows information. Infograph. What we're gonna click on is timeline. So we went from, let me start from the beginning. Templates, under marketing, you'll see infographic. And in this category here, it says education, process, business, timeline, charity. Click on timeline. There are some templates here. Some of them aren't free. So if you don't want to use those, obviously choose something else. So you can click, create a blank one, and it'll give you a page like that. Or you could choose one that's been made already. So for this one, and all you do is just kind of play around with the words and move pictures. Our goal is to trace the beginning of the event. So let's say if I want to do the recurrent event of the Black Lives Matter movement of 2020, I would focus on, so I want you guys to find 10 events in the timeline. For me, if I would do this topic, I would start with the death of George Floyd and go from there. Then I'll go to the riots, and then you kind of see things happening, and then I'll connect to different things. So you see the riots in Los Angeles and Minneapolis. You see the response by the presidents. You see how people in news, like basketball teams in the bubble, they've changed their courts to Black Lives Matter. We see the Twitter movements. COVID-19, if I would track that, I'll go from it's first reported in Wuhan, China in December or November. Or you want to do COVID-19 in the United States, we hear about it in January. Then we trace that schools start closing in March, and we get into quarantine, and just different things are happening, right? Or Democratic primary election, we started with 19 candidates, and how did we end up with Joe Biden? QAnon, where that starts. Lakers 2020 season, crazy season. You go from the signing of Anthony Davis, all the way to the death of Kobe Bryant, to now where they're in the finals. You could come up with an idea, definitely, but the requirements for an idea is that's like a current event issue that you're willing to explain the story of. I don't want to see something historic, because our job is to understand what's current events. And the goal is you want images, so you want to Google images of the events, or you could use the graphics that come with the, right? So you could add graphics. If you, hopefully you played with this for a logo, so you get understanding. You can upload pictures. You could use photos that they have here. So if I type in stuff like riots, you have pictures, or if type in protests, right? You have stock images. If it says free, obviously it's free, and you can add images. And what we're looking for is 10 items. So you're like, oh, it might not fit. You could shrink items to make it smaller, to fit more things, and then zoom in more to see it. So let's say 200%. So you can make things smaller, move it around, so it fits your thing. So if I want to make like more dots, let's say I like this. Let's say timeline for BLM. I would say the first thing that happened there was the death of George Floyd. And obviously, the movement's been around since 2014, and there's been many countless people that have passed away. But if I were just doing it for this year, George Floyd killed by Minneapolis police, and I give more information here on March, right? And then I might add an image that relates to that. I wonder if they have George Floyd. They don't have it. So we might have to Google something online, upload it, and I'll put it here. And let's say after I'm done, I go here and I download it, and you want to download it as a
It
PNG.
was on May, mister.
Huh?
I think it was on May, not on March.
Oh, was it March? May?
Yeah, it was May because I remember like that was before summertime.
Yeah, okay. Either way, thank you for that. So whatever topic you guys want to do that. Some of you guys download as a PDF, which makes it a little more difficult when you upload it, but download as a PNG. So they want to charge me $3 just because there's some premium content here. So I'll just avoid those premium content. So I think it was like this one, maybe this one. I replaced it with free content. So if I download it, cool, it's free now. I'll click PNG. And if I download, it's loading, but generally you get the gist of it. You can download the PDF and load it too. Either way, I'll be able to see it. When you're done, upload your timeline here. I'm having trouble with the PNG, so PDF might be fine. Download here and then comment on two people's thing, and yeah, that's the assignment. The goal of it is to trace a story using a infographic timeline. All right, you have 4 things to do this week. None of it, and also if you haven't done the chapter 2 assignments, do that. But you have a quiz. There's an exercise to teach you how to write lead sentences, and then story proposal. So we're actually getting to our writing part of our phase for issue 1, and then do your Canvas assignment. That's the end of our class. If you have any questions, please stick around. But if you feel like you understand everything, you can head out.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye, mister. Have a good day.
Bye, mister.
Care.
Mr. I have a question, but like I want to say something.
Okay.
So what doesn't sit right with me is how when schools shut down and like when businesses shut down and then the COVID cases just like rapidly increase. I don't know if you noticed that.
Okay. Yeah. Sort of. Yeah. What do you have to say?
Well, like I just think it's crazy how like before, like when everything wasn't like closed and then there wasn't like that many cases.
Oh, it's just the nature of things, because if one person has it and they don't take care of themselves and they go see 10 people, now 10 people have it, right? And then if those 10 people don't know they have it and they go see 10 other people, then it just spreads really, it multiplies quickly. But yeah, it's very crazy.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Then have a good day.
Yeah, see ya. You guys have any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Sorry I was late. I was having some technical difficulties with the internet.
Yeah, me too. I was like, same thing. All right. Well, what's your question, dude?
For the story proposals, I got in like halfway when you were explaining.
Oh yeah. So what you need to do, I think I put you in a team already. So
Yeah,
you're
on
part
the
of,
U.S.
which one?
The U.S. World News.
Oh yeah. So you're in U.S. World News. So if you go to Think Tank, which is, you'll find it here in week 3. There's a link to it. So US World News, these are the different ideas people had for news. So I want you to stay in that category, unless you have something else you want to add to it. And then, so between those 6 things, racial justice movement, presidential election, California wildfires, coronavirus, climate change, you can add anything else that you think is happening in the world. That would be cool. And then story proposal, you click on this, you click on this assignment, it makes a copy for you. And then you just need to give me 3 proposals. So choose 3 topics and write 2 sentences about what you would want to cover about that topic. So if you choose something like racial justice movement, that's not really like a topic. You have to choose me something more specific, right? So the racial justice movement in Los Angeles, the racial justice movement with the death of George Floyd, something like that, right? Whatever you choose, it has to be a little more focused. Let's say you choose a presidential election. You would give us what's happening with the presidential election, and you have to tell me who do you need to interview, what kind of people you need to interview, and yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mister.
Yeah. Do you have any questions, Jessica?
Mister, you mentioned that we need to have, I think, 2 roles for the committee, from week 1.
Yeah.
What do I choose for the second one?
So the orange one is for this type of stories your team's gonna write. The second one is a type of, we do 2 things in for this class. We do stories and we do something that helps I guess our brand, right? We do broadcast, which is you want to record news. We do polls, so we ask the school questions. We do a magazine, social media, photography. What's something that you're interested in?
I'm okay with almost all of them.
What, that means up for you to sign up for one.
Is there like a description for each one?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, what's your choose one, and I'll explain it to you. Which one are you curious about?
The last one.
The last one, editor or photography?
Oh, editor. I couldn't read it. I'm sorry.
Oh, editor. Well, that's literally they're in charge of like a section of the news. You have to be, very good at writing and grammar. I would wait on those. I usually don't give underclassmen that position, but any of the other ones you can work on. You could choose.
There are other people to help me, right? Like with it.
Yeah, this is your team.
I'll go with broadcast.
Okay, cool. Do you like speaking and recording yourself and videos?
Yeah, I kind of have to because I'm also in leadership and then I'm also in band and they make us record ourselves a lot.
Okay, all right then.
I'm gonna say my name right.
Oh yeah, I see it on here.
And the assignments I had a 0, do I have to go back and do them as well?
Try to do as much as you can, but let me know if you're confused. And you don't have to do anything from just do this week's and last week's work.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about the other discussion stuff, the early stuff.
All right, thank you.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
Hey, Yoretzi, do you have a question? Okay.